Hi, and welcome back to Small Caps. I'm your host, Jess Holland, and today we are speaking with the CEO of newly listed Pioneer Lithium, Mr. Clinton Booth. The ASX ticker code is PLN. Hi, Clinton. It's lovely to have you on the show.
Oh, Jess, great to be here. Really appreciate your time.
Well, firstly, Clinton, huge congratulations on Pioneer Lithium debuting on the ASX this week. This is, a huge feat in any ordinary circumstance to list your business, but even more so given, current liquidity market conditions. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Clinton, firstly, can you give our small caps audience a bit of a background to your IPO and also what the company is looking to achieve with the IPO funds that you've raised?
Yeah, absolutely. So the IPO went live, or the prospectus went live in August. We closed it the back end of August, and thankfully here we are on the 28th of September, and we're newly listed, which is fantastic. The IPO process was led by our funds manager, 62 Capital. They did a fantastic job, significantly oversubscribed, so we couldn't be more pleased with how that went. From here, now we're listed, we will immediately be looking to develop the three assets which we have, with a primary focus on Root Lake, which is in the Ontario province in Canada, and then we will also be looking to simultaneously develop our La Grande asset in Quebec.
Brilliant. Okay, so now let's hone in on your lithium project in Ontario. Can you tell our small caps audience what are the key advantages of the Root Lake Lithium project?
Yeah, sure. So we're very fortunate with the location of the Root Lake project, and it's got a number of advantages for us. So some of those advantages are existing related to the province itself. So we have tremendous infrastructure, so both road and rail infrastructure. We also have port infrastructure, which will help with our transportation lines and distribution of our product. But coming back more immediately, the advantages we have is the previous claimants had already conducted some aeromagnetic survey. So we already have some initial information related to the project site. And they had also had in the order of 12 drill permits or 12 permits for drilling on the site already approved, which is fantastic. So there's a huge amount of work there which is already undertaken, which allows us to really kickstart quickly. And that helps us design the work we need to do now. What we'll be looking to do now is get straight out into the field, have a fieldwork campaign undertaken, really help hone up that information we have from the aeromagnetic surveys and the already approved permits, then engage with drillers and get drilling started.
Brilliant, Clinton. So you've got all sort of like the infrastructure already there, existing infrastructure, plus you've laid a lot of the initial groundwork in terms of all of the permitting. But now, what are the company's plans to define a maiden mineral resource at Root Lake?
Yep, absolutely. So what we're looking to do with the funds we've raised is really get drilling into Root Lake to, as you said, get out towards a maiden resource as fast as possible. So we'll be looking to be on the ground in September, which is almost at the end now, but we'll be immediately out on the ground now we're listed, going through to October, completing our fieldwork program. We will already then, or have already started engaging with the market regarding drilling contracts and accommodation. So we'll be finalising that. And the next step really is to late October into November, commence our maiden drilling program. And that maiden drilling program will really help inform us towards our maiden resource. So we'll be drilling, we'll then be looking to get obviously assays done, coming back with that information, updating our drilling as required, and working towards a maiden resource program in the target at this stage is the middle of next year.
Brilliant. Okay, so now Clinton, sort of shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about your team. Okay, so you've just listed, so obviously you guys can execute on that front. But can you give our small caps audience, a bit of a brief overview on how your team's, experience on your board give the company a competitive edge?
So there's a couple of elements to that. So if we talk about the board initially, so the board is led by our executive chairman, Robert Martin. We have Nigel Broomham, we have Aga Pervez, and we also have Gerard O'Donovan. Now, we're really fortunate in that this team has significant experience in lithium and in Canada. So across the board, they've been prospecting for claims and assets for a number of years. There's been some 6 years to actually bundle all these assets together into the newly listed Pioneer. But then they've also been drilling. So guys like Nigel Broomham, he's been drilling thousands and thousands of meters already in Canada. Rob's been involved with a number of companies, and all up in the Canadian region in Ontario, we've probably got in the order of 50,000 meters of drilling experience on that board itself. Then if we come to our, I suppose, the management team at Pioneer Lithium, we've got with myself, 2.5 decades in the mining sector, worked in a number of jurisdictions, spent a lot of time in working in Canada, and also from my previous experience was working in the James Bay region, so up where our LeGrand prospect is, really helping develop the James Bay asset there, which Galaxy at the time had, and who are now Allkem. Along with that, we have a couple of geologists who will be with the team. So we have one geologist, Eric Peterson, who is our in-country geologist, who will be designing and executing on our fieldwork and drilling campaigns. And then we will have a soon-to-be-announced joining us General Manager Exploration, who will then help drive and support Eric with those campaigns. So a really strong, experienced team, both in project generation, greenfields prospecting, and also in the lithium industry.
Yeah, brilliant. So it sounds like you've got teams sort of across the development cycle to get you, from exploration stage and also through to development, potential development. So that's very exciting. Now, let's talk about, your projects again. So how is Pioneer Lithium going to balance exploration at Root Lake with early exploration works at its other critical minerals projects?
Yep. Look, it's a really good question and something that we've really been doing a lot of thinking around and how we do execute on that. So Root Lake will most definitely go first. As we've said, it's got a number of factors to help it in the immediate term. We will then very quickly and in parallel move our La Grande project. So our La Grande project is located in the order of 14 kilometres from Patriot Battery Metals Corvette project, running through the same greenstone belt. So obviously we're tremendously excited to get up there because there's been some great announcements and great discoveries up there in recent times. But the property we have is very underexplored. So the very first thing we're going to do immediately, and this should occur probably last couple of days of September and into early October, is we will engage and perform our multi-spectrum work. That work will help inform us to design our fieldwork program. So in the second half of October, we expect to have a fieldwork program underway and have our boots on La Grande to actually start to get an understanding of what is the potential and where are we looking to go from there. We'll do some sampling while we're there, rock chips and the like, and we will come back and design our drilling program, and we will end up going from, we've designed that drilling program, go, what are the next steps we want to be doing? So really, first quarter, back end of this calendar year, for La Grande, we'll be getting the multi-spectrum work complete, getting our boots on the ground and designing our drilling program ready in the new year to make decisions on where we go with drilling at La Grande.
Yeah, brilliant, Clinton. And I think you sort of stole my next question, but I wonder if you can elaborate any more on this, and you might have already answered it all. But, your La Grande project in Quebec, you've obviously already planned out all of your sort of early exploration works, but do you have any sort of key lithium targets already sitting there at La Grande, or are you going to start from sort of greenfields level?
Yeah, so La Grande is not like Root Lake, where we already had some work to go from. So with La Grande, we're starting straight out, pure greenfields, very underexplored region. So that in itself is obviously very exciting. So we don't have any targets identified at this stage, but what we are doing is putting all the processes in place and undertaking all those early stage activities to then design and to determine what our programs and our targets will look like. So that's really where we are for now. So this next quarter at La Grande is really about getting on the ground and getting a really good understanding of what could be occurring there. We're also very fortunate that Quebec has quite a good amount of public publicly available information. So we'll be looking to do some desktop analysis to understand that, which will also help us inform the work we're going to be doing.
Yeah, brilliant, Clinton. Now, how does, still talking on the exploration side of things, how does the company plan to sort of gain early drilling access to Root Lake now that the IPO is complete and you have the funds to do so?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. So the very first thing we are very fortunate with is that Root Lake is already drill permitted, which is absolutely fantastic. But also that Root Lake area and where our claims are, there has been quite a significant amount of forest deforestation already occur, and there is a lot of forest or logging tracks there. So access to the property is actually very good. So what we'll be doing is utilising those access points to get to where our drill pads are. So we're very fortunate that a lot of the groundwork has been performed by others, and we can leverage that to ensure that we're on the ground as soon as possible and in a really cost-effective way.
Brilliant. Now, Clinton, I just have one last final question for you, and that is, can you leave our small caps audience with sort of 2 or 3 key takeaways or highlights why you think Pioneer Lithium is potentially a good investment for them, particularly now that the company is trading on the ASX?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is the exciting bit, isn't it? You put all the hard work together and then we're listed and away we go. So I think the key points really to take away is there's an aligned board, management, and major shareholders for this company. Absolutely, if you want to develop and grow a company, you need that alignment. You have good days, you have days which aren't quite as good, and it's tough business, but we feel very, very excited and also very fortunate that we are absolutely aligned from the board, management, and major shareholders. So that's a really key element, I think, for the investors to take away is that alignment. The second part of that is you need to have an underlying asset or assets to really help you something to develop. And we're very fortunate at Pioneer that the work done by Robert, the team from 62 and others is we've been able to assemble over the last 5 or 6 years some really, really good, high quality and what we think are highly prospective assets. So that's really point 2. We've got multiple assets which we believe are highly prospective. And then the third component I'd say to the investors is we are in exactly the right location. You're talking about not an emerging, but an expanding marketplace with regards to demand for batteries and spodumene concentrate and lithium chemicals. The North American market exists. It's not a new market. It's a deep market, and it's only getting deeper. So we are absolutely in the right location. So I think from an investor's point of view, they should be looking at aligned board and management, great assets, highly prospective, and we are absolutely in the right location when it comes to what are we going to do with that product once we've actually produced it. So for me, I think there are 3 things the investors should be really excited about.
That's really fantastic, Clinton. And just to summarize, you've got the right people with fully aligned board and shareholders in the right place, in highly prospective jurisdictions, Quebec and Ontario, and, in the right time. So to be in the lithium market now while it's booming again, but also, in the right place. So congratulations on your listing once again, and really looking forward to having you back on the show to have another chat.
Great. Thanks very much, Jessie. I look forward to coming back.